Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be spending this time together. This is Katherine, of course, the host of the My Dead Dragon podcast. And as always, I am just sending you, my listeners, so much love and appreciation. I'm really grateful that you tuned in today to hear this conversation. And today I'm talking with Maria Ray, who is the president and founder of Maria Ray LLC. Marie is a breakthrough business coach, transformational keynote speaker, Harvard Blue Talk speaker, and is the founder of the Modern Warrior magazine, Empowering the Modern Woman. Marie's vision is to create a community that models integrity, inspires creativity, and embraces uniqueness. She believes that together we can create a world where everyone has a sense of purpose, lives their passion, has great success, and celebrates living their best life by creating time and financial freedom. Marie is a Blue Talk speaker, a Harvard University speaker, and has spoken at multiple women's events and conferences, and has been featured on numerous radio shows, news programs, and podcasts. And Marie, I'm really excited to have this conversation today. I know you've got some really exciting things that you're doing, and you have such a powerful story, really, of truly stepping into your own power and becoming the main character of your own life. And so, can you start us out by sharing your story?
I will. First of all, thank you so much, Katherine, for having me. I'm really super excited to be here. So, yes, I do have a unique story, and I'm not, and I thought a lot about where do I start in the story, right? And I thought, well, we may go back and forth a little bit, so you'll probably get a bigger sense of my story, but I thought I would start at the time when I got married. I got married young. I had just turned 21, and I married a man 9 years my senior. And so at the time I was going to school, but had a baby in that first year. And life just happened. For the next 10 years, I had 4 babies, and I had become a stay-at-home mom, right?
Yeah,
which I loved.
Just trying to keep everybody alive.
It was the best thing I have ever done in my entire life. I loved, also, I will tell you, the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. But I loved it. But at the age of 32, I had found myself going through a divorce. So there I was, now a single mom with 4 children under 10. And my youngest was a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. So talk about having to reinvent yourself, right? Not only me as a mom and how I'm going to go forward raising my 4 children, but me as a woman, and just knowing what my next step will be. You remember, I had been a stay-at-home mom now for what is that, 11 years.
Wow.
So that was a big, huge transition for me, a scary one. So I can relate very well to people who have to make decisions maybe that they had not thought they were going to make, but that, they always have the strength to make them, right? People often say to me, Maria, I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you did it. And I think you just do it, right? It's like taking those steps forward. You just do it.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful life. I mean, my children are doing amazingly well, and they're grown and they're successful. So I did something right. But in that transition period, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I got to be honest with you, because I hadn't used anything I went to school for, I really didn't know. I kind of happened on to becoming, working in the sales and marketing for a magazine, a local publication. And then I became the editor of that publication within a year. I mean, I loved it. And that's really where I found my love for story, and where I saw the impact that story had on every part of your life, really. So that's why, I have since owned and sold multiple businesses, and have loved every minute of it. Somehow we just figure it out and we go. And I've had, wonderful people in my life, and But that challenge of not knowing, of wondering if, or even if you can, if what it is that you should do, or if you can do it, is a very real thing, especially for people today with everything we've gone through in the last couple of years. And it can be scary, and I understand that.
So in that, so growing up and getting married young and having a family and choosing to be a stay-at-home mom, did it feel like that was just kind of what you did? Or was there a sense of, I'm really consciously choosing this for myself?
No. It kind of happened for me.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I go back just a little bit further in my life, or at the beginning, I grew up and my father was abusive and alcoholic. So, you learn things when you go through that kind of situation, and you become, in a sense, stronger in many ways. I mean, it can't go the other way, and unfortunately, you may not. But for me, I became stronger, and I saw what I didn't want. However, you also learn that to kind of not be seen, right?
Yes,
To
to
be
stay safe.
to be safe, not be seen. I mean, fortunately, I had a mom, or have a mom, who is wonderful, and she fought, or when I mean all her life, meaning we didn't have a lot of money. She worked to make things happen. And she was the one who was the breadwinner, because we never saw any of his money, right? So she took care of the 4 kids. So I saw the strength in her, and I learned to be strong because of her. And she also was a very strong faith-based person. So I grew up Catholic. Today I'm very spiritual. I don't necessarily follow the Catholic rules. But it gave me that base of knowing who God was. Which was a lifesaver for me in many ways. So when I married a man who was, he wasn't a bad man. He just was a controlling man. And so it's what I knew, right? I was controlled by a lot of things growing up. This was a natural for me to be, controlled kind of in that situation. And then as you have children and you get into your late 20s, you kind of come into your own. And I'm like, wait a minute, right? I don't want to be controlled anymore. I don't want, these things. And then you start to clash.
So how did you come into your own, right? Because I think you make such a good point that we all have, and my listeners, you're going to know what I'm going to say. We all have patterns about how we show up in our life, and life whispers to us, and we have these opportunities to have wake up calls and realize, and sometimes it's the contrast that gives us the clarity, that the knowing, like, wow, that's really not working for me. And so Maria, for you in that process, how did you come into your own? What did that look like? Was there like a thing that happened? Was it a process?
I think there were several things that happened. The first life-changing moment for me, and I call it a life-changing moment or situation because it truly was, and that actually happened when I was 19, before I got married. And I'll just tell you quickly the story. My mom had divorced and remarried a man who was not very nice.
Patterns.
Yeah, right. Patterns. We just talked about patterns, right? Not very nice. So I didn't really know his family, and I was a little bit older. I was like, I think a senior in high school when she married him, and I didn't really know his family. And I was going to school and working 2 jobs after I got out of high school. To pay for school, right? So one of the jobs was I was a nurse's assistant at a nursing home. And one day a woman was admitted to the nursing home, and I found out that she was actually my step grandmother that I had never met, right? Wow. So now I had never met her. And I had heard stories about her that she was not always very nice and kind, and she wasn't that great, that kind of person. And I understood that because I knew who my mom had married, right? So, I mean, I got it, whatever, it's okay. But the woman I met in that nursing home was the sweetest, most genuine, loving person. Her and I bonded like I can't even explain it. So she was there because she had Alzheimer's, and she was there for it was a short end of life thing. So we knew that she was not going to be there very long. So a couple of weeks went by, and I grew this bond with her. And as people with Alzheimer's do, they forget. And for some reason, she always knew who I was. Now, she might not know my name.
Yeah.
And she would call me that girl.
Yeah.
But she always knew me. And I found that to be, very much a blessing for me, but also for her, that she could remember me. So she would ask for me a lot, even when I wasn't working, right? So I would come visit her, even in my off times. Again, it was just like a bond that I will never forget. And so, sometimes I would walk into work and they would say, hey, she's asking for that girl again. And I'd go talk to her. So the time came when it was Bert's end of life. And Freddie, her daughter, came to me and asked me, because I had made a deep bond with her mother, if I could pick a time to they were doing round the clock care. And I took the nights. So the one night that I came in, Freddie met me at the door and she said, Maria, I don't know what's going on, but Bert has to talk to you. She sometimes will ask for Maria, sometimes that girl, but it's been all day. And I said, it's okay, I'm here now, so I'll go in. And I went in, and after everyone left, Bert grabbed my hands, and she was like kneading my hands, like, Maria, I have to talk to you, I have to talk to you, I have to talk to you. And I said, Bert, I'm here. What would you like? What can I do? How can I help you? And I just want to remind you that I'm only 19 years old.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, wow.
I am only 19.
Yeah.
And she's kneading my hands, and she looked at me and she said, Maria, I haven't always been good in my life. And I'm scared. I don't know where I'm going to go. Pretty big conversation for a 19-year-old. And with her hands in mine, I looked at her and I said, Bert, do you believe in God? And she said, yes, I do. And I said, as long as you love God and you believe in him, I know exactly where you're going to go. And I smiled at her and I said, hey, Bert, will you do me a favor when you get there? And she said, oh, yes, anything. And I said, will you look over me in my life? Because I have a feeling I'm going to need a little bit of help. And with her hands in mine, she said, I absolutely will. And she turned her head, looked at the ceiling, and died.
Wow.
Eyes open, hands released.
Yeah.
She died. Whew.
Yeah, I know. I'm like just trying to keep it together here.
That was such a moment for me that, I think in life there are those moments. You're here for reasons. And I truly believe that moment, that time, that space was one of the reasons I was here, to help her cross, knowing that she was going to be okay. So my faith in God is very strong.
Yeah.
And that's what got me through a lot of this in my life, and these things, these challenging times, because it can be tough. But I wanted to share that story because it is such an impactful, and it made such an impact on my life.
So what was the impact that had on your life?
That I knew I wasn't alone, that I never was alone. I've always had God by my side. I'm a believer in angels and guides and my higher self. And I actually have the gift of knowing that firsthand. And I feel so blessed about that. So that has truly helped me through some really, really tough times in my life. My decisions, what I needed to do going forward, to trust my intuition, that things were happening for a reason. I might not know the reason, but that they are. It also helped me to realize that every moment is a gift. And I know that people don't have a hard time with that. Because there's so many bad moments that happen throughout our lives. But what I tell people, if you can just find one blessing, just one blessing, it allows you to let go of those bad times, to let more good in. And for me, that big one for me was just knowing that my dad, I'm here. That's a blessing, that I'm able to experience this life. So that was enough for me.
This is totally off topic from the podcast theme, but in my one of my coaching groups last night, this is kind of an advanced coaching group, and we were talking about forgiveness and the role that forgiveness plays in freeing up our life energy. And forgiveness it's not about saying that what happened was okay. That's absolutely not it.
Right.
It's not about saying, okay, well, you done me wrong, so I forgive you. You can come back in my life. That's not it. We don't forgive for other people. We forgive for us, so that we can become open to the flow of life and to love's presence. And within the kind of conversation, we actually got into the idea of soul contracts, and how over lifetimes that some of the content of our life, some of the curriculum that we experience, the challenges, the difficulties, we may not always know in the moment or immediately what the purpose of that was. But that when we can actually connect to a bigger time and scale, 100% there is something there for us.
Yes. I believe all of that. Yes.
Yeah, same. I know it to be true. I know it to be true. So in that, so you had that pivotal experience, this knowing that, okay, I'm not alone. There is a higher power out there, God, universe, spirit, source, whatever, bird, right? One of your angels, you have a bird angel in heaven. And so how did that help you with your process of really discovering, realizing, this is not for me, I want something different, recognizing maybe some of that pattern behavior, and really choosing to step forward in your life in a different way?
So I think after divorcing, I had to do some self-reflection on how I could move forward in confidence, right? So I think my thing for my entire life has been self-worth. I've struggled with it. And I have done a lot of work around it. And just when you think that you've got it, it creeps in there again, right?
Oh, but wait, and there's more.
Yes. So I think, there wasn't a pivotal moment that I realized my self-worth, other than I knew that the way that I thought about myself couldn't be true. It couldn't be right. And why was I? Actually, there was a pivotal moment, and it just popped into my mind. It was an actual mirror moment. So my therapist at the time, when I was in my late 20s, this was before my divorce, because I went to do some work on my childhood, she sent me to codependency treatment. Now listen, who knew there was codependency treatment, right? I didn't even know what codependency was.
What's codependency?
Right. So apparently you're codependent when you have an alcoholic person in your family, and so I get there.
ACOA, I relate.
I know. Well, so I'm there, And people are around. It's a 6-week program. I'm a dropout, actually, because my husband took me out after 5 weeks. I was getting too strong, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. But so I'm there, and in the tree, and we're sitting around, and there's a lot of people there, and they're all telling their story, right? And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not telling my story. None of these are worse than my story. I've got the worst story here. I'm not telling them my story, right? So this self-talk thing's going on in my head, right?
Yeah.
And she gets to me and she said, "Now, Maria, it's your turn." And I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Really, just go. I don't need to even talk
you
today.
go first. You go first.
I don't need to talk today,
Yeah.
And she said, "Maria, stand up." And I did. And she said, "Come with me." And at the end of this long room, everyone is on one end, and there's this lonely mirror on the other. And she took me to the mirror, and she stood me in front of it, and she said, "Maria, all you have to do is tell that person in the mirror that I love you. All you have to say is, I love you. And you can go back and sit down, and I'll leave you alone." And I looked in the mirror.
Yeah.
And Katherine, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I could not do it. And tears just started streaming from my face. And she said, "Maria, all you have to do is say I love you to that person in the mirror, and we'll go sit down." And I bet we were there 10 minutes until I literally fell to my knees and started crying.
Yeah.
And she picked me up, we went back and sat down, and she said, "Okay, now we're getting somewhere." That changed my life. Because what I realized is that my self-worth, I meant nothing to myself, nothing. I didn't even like myself.
Yeah.
So that was a big moment for me.
And how did you learn to love yourself?
I started doing a lot of affirmations. I would put them up on the mirror. I would do it privately at first. So before I was divorced, I did it privately, right? Because I didn't want to be made fun of. Right? "What are you doing? You're stupid. Well, you can't do this. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
So I would do it privately, like in a notebook or something like that. After I was divorced, I pinned them up everywhere I could, so I would constantly read these affirmations. "You are smart, you are beautiful, you are, good, you are kind, you are," and I did that for many, many years. I still do that today. I still put different affirmations up, but affirmations just the same. And that has really helped me. I also started doing self-help books, self-development books. And I started following some people. And I can't even tell you who it was at first. It wasn't even like a person. It was just more of what they said that resonated with me. And to be honest, I think my angels and guides just picked me up and said, "Okay, enough is enough. Now we're going to work."
Yeah. Yep. Yep. The whispers got too loud.
Yep. You're here for a reason. Let's get going.
Yep. Yep. Giddy up. Giddy up.
And, and in the midst of, raising my kids and trying to, do my job and all of that, I mean, years just passed. It was crazy how fast that went,
And the work is never done.
No, just when you think it is.
The work is never done. Yeah, we were talking again we're actually in my coaching group. We're in our month in love right now. And of course, the first love is your love of self and spirit, right? Because you are a reflection of the infinite, and talking about how forgiveness allows more love in to yourself. But really it all starts with loving yourself. And so for people listening, noticing, right, as Maria shared the mirror work and looking at the mirror and saying, "I love you" to yourself, how do you feel? You're going to notice how you respond to that. And that's going to give you a clue about if maybe there's an opportunity there for you to lean into that work.
Yeah. And I would encourage your listeners to try that. Yeah. Stand in front of your mirror. No one has to be there with you. Yeah. But just honestly, get in your heart and see if you can tell yourself you love that person in the
Yeah.
mirror.
Yeah.
It's a good exercise.
It's a great exercise. Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
great exercise. Yeah, and one of my other guests shared that how she started because the mirror was too much. She started with a pocket mirror and just like an
Oh,
eyeball and a
good
pocket
idea.
mirror, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could look back and give yourself some advice or a message,
Mm.
what might that be?
That you are enough,
Mm-hmm.
that you can create whatever you want in this life. It's all yours. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to believe that you are enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say. And I would understand that
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't enough,
Mm-hmm.
how difficult that would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, there's really something to be said for that saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Right. And it really, I mean, it's fun, it's a funny saying, but when you dive into that, that is
Mm-hmm.
so true. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't love yourself, how can you love what's around you?
Yeah. And it's funny how well, it's not funny. It's, of course, we're connected here
Mm-hmm.
virtually. And where my brain was kind of going before you even said that was, do you think, or how do you think your work, your self work in loving yourself, in really stepping into to accepting, loving, honoring who you are and what you came here to do, how has that impacted your children and their lives? Because I think a lot of moms feel guilty to do their own work. They feel like they have to like give it all to everybody else.
So one thing I do know for sure is children are resilient and they're
Mm.
smarter than we are. They
Mm-hmm.
just are. My kids have not had an easy life.
Mm.
They haven't. It was a struggle. They saw their mom struggle. They saw me be poor. They saw me not be able to pay bills. They saw me in my worst time ever.
Mm.
But somehow all of that they learned from.
Mm.
So if you can learn to be vulnerable and be real and be who you are, even with your children, not in a friend way.
Yeah, like when they're adults, right? Not when they're,
Right,
yeah, there's
right.
a,
Just in a way where they see the struggles. You don't have to save them from that
mm,
because they actually learn from it.
mm,
And that's why every one of my children, and I have 4 of them,
mm-hmm,
are very successful.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish I knew what my kids know at
Yeah,
that age,
yeah,
and they will tell you that they learned that from me.
mm-hmm,
Not that the part of knowing who they are and being strong enough
mm-hmm,
to move forward. So I
mm-hmm,
think today people are so worried about um, doing right by their kids or
mm-hmm,
giving their kids everything
mm-hmm,
or just hiding them from what's going on, and that's not, in my opinion, not always the best.
mm-hmm.
And it's hard to raise children, and it's
Yeah,
and it needs to be authentic and real so that
mm-hmm,
they can grow to be authentic and real.
mm-hmm. And as a mom, you can absolutely model that to them, right? By
Yes.
committing to yourself, by investing your time, your energy, your resources in your own growth and development, you let them know that this is okay, this is healthy, and that they
Yes,
deserve that
and
as well.
and I will tell you, I have not. I've done a lot wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Well,
don't
yeah.
really know. I have done
Yeah.
a lot wrong. I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
my thing is going so crazy here. Let's
Yeah,
do
there's
this.
some light coming in there.
Oh, that might be. Let me shut this. That'll help.
Yeah, and if you're breathing as a human being, you've done some stuff wrong. We all have done some stuff wrong. We've
I've
all
done my
shown up
share wrong.
unskillfully. Yeah. Yeah. it's part of
And
it.
I don't know how my kids, I mean, sometimes I just don't know how my kids learned what they learned, other than to say that it was divinely guided. Because I don't know what else to say about that. Because you do make mistakes, but I guess you have to be okay with admitting and going forward and knowing your mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have times where we show up unskillfully in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah. And so how can people find you? And of course, I'll have all of your links in the show notes for my listeners, but how can people connect with you? What are you doing now? Can you kind of give me a bit of an update on that?
Well, I'm a big one for storytelling.
Hmm.
I believe that when we tell our stories, they matter. People listen. You can captivate, influence, and transform people's lives with them. So I have a couple of different things that I do. I mean, I'm an overall business coach, right? And I can help many people with their businesses. I've started and sold and all of that good stuff. And it's from a heart, soul level that I do it. But I also have a program about telling stories, telling your stories. And one of them, I mean, it starts with the inner story, your inner critic, and your money story, which is huge for people in business right now, and actually always has been. But not enough people are making money, and that's wrong. And doing what they love, and that's all. Those two stories that we work on is all your inner stuff and your mindset things and things that helped me along the way. I've had a lot of experience with that. But when you overcome those two stories, what a beautiful story it is. You can get up there, you can speak about it, you can talk about it, you can write about it, and you help others just by telling it. So so I do 4 stories that every woman needs to tell, and those are 2 of them. Your inner story, your self story, your money story. And then we also do a purpose story. What's your purpose? Why are you here? A lot of people will tell you, I don't know why we're here. I don't know why I'm here. I will tell you, though, that after we do some inner work, they know why they're here.
Yeah.
They know what their passions are. They become clear. Well, the purpose story or the signature story is what happened in your life. Pull pieces of your life that can, again, captivate, transform, and influence people. But that's also a story that can be told if you're a CEO, if you're a business owner. You rally people around you, a sales manager, rally the people around you that want to, you need to get to know these people to do good for them. Right. And then the other story is the value story. And the value story is the value of it's the story around the value of your product or service, which is like a sales story, really, right? It bridges the gap between you and your new clients, or you and your clients. And you do it just by telling a story. People are so afraid of sales. And there's nothing to be afraid of. And I teach them how to sell in a meaningful way where it's not like selling. They just tell their story and it sells itself. So I love that part of my program. Because it's about the story, and I love story. And then of course I have a framework and how we put together craft, find, and tell your stories, those kind of things. I have all of that together. But I love helping people in business. Because if I just real quick, what I realized is if I would have had somebody helping me when I had 4 small kids and didn't know where I was going and have the direction, boy, I tell you, I'd have gotten to this point sooner than later. And there's a lot of people out there, especially today, women entrepreneurs. There's something like 250 million women entrepreneurs in the world right now. That are A, not making money, and B, not doing, maybe even what they love to do. And it's important. It's important to look at yourself and to know that you're worthy, you're worth it, right? You're worth it, which is why I do this.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I have to say, like, so I have a master's in counseling. I have been doing my own work therapy, coaching, self-discovery for over
Yeah.
26 years. And being in business was, I was stunned at how much deeper the growth and the work had to go.
Yes.
It was, and again, coming from a background in counseling and therapy, right? It blew my mind. It blew my mind. So I
Mm-hmm.
love this. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can connect with you on your social media, on your websites. And again, those will
Yes.
be in the show notes for everyone to click into. And
Yes, and it's
any
mariaray.com. The tricky thing to remember is my last name is spelled REA. So
okay,
it's
so Maria,
mariarea.com. Yeah,
perfect.
and they can find me there, or you know, yeah, email me at maria@mariaray.com. And I can help them out with anything as well. The one thing that I do want to just mention, and I've really taken a big leap this year.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was last year. And with all the information and all the things that I know about business and story and money and all of that, I became a certified money coach.
Ooh.
And I'm in the midst of certifying myself as a business coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been working with clients for many, many years, but I decided to do that for myself,
Mm-hmm. Because you're
just to
worth
take
it.
that step and do it for myself. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very excited about the possibilities and what it
Mm.
brings. And I've learned so much, and it's wonderful.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you have a a super cool I'm just looking at my notes here. A super cool crack your money code. Can you tell me
Yes.
about that?
Yes. So so the program that I put together is called Women Rockin' Money,
Hmm.
Warrior Women Rockin' Money.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about cracking your money code, and it's a lot of work around money and how you think about money, but it's also ways to learn why you're thinking about this, to kind of legitimize it,
Mm-hmm.
and so that you can actually change it.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with money archetypes. You take an assessment,
Mm-hmm.
you find your top 3 money archetypes. I give you a personal reading on
Mm-hmm.
what that all means, and then that is that is the code
Mm-hmm.
in which we start working to move you forward.
Very cool.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool,
That sounds really interesting.
and it's very life changing. I
Okay.
did it myself, which also helped me with my money story, and had many, many, many aha moments. So,
Okay. And again,
mhm.
people can connect with you on your social media, your website to
Yes.
find out more about that. And
Hmm.
so, Maria, is there anything left needing to be said or any last message you would want to say or share with my listeners?
Well, I would just encourage people to believe in themselves.
Hmm.
And I want them to know that whatever they want in this world, they can have. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a lot of self-doubt out there, and I know that people don't know how. They might get caught up in the how am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'd like to say to them is you don't need to always know the how.
Mm-hmm.
You, the why is more important than the how. You
Mm-hmm.
can take small baby steps towards that why you
Mm-hmm.
want to start your business, or you want to get a new job, or you want a new relationship, or you want to get out of an abusive relation, whatever it is. Every small step matters, and that's what I'd
Mm-hmm.
like people to know.
I love that. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I share with people is that you don't need to know the how, you just need to know that the how is known. The how is known and it
I
will
like
reveal
that.
itself
It
to
is
you as you
now.
take those steps.
It is known,
Yeah,
yes.
it is known. And
Because
so,
it can be quite overwhelming for people.
oh, 100%, right? And
Mhm.
thinking that we have to know the whole plan from the get-go. No, 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 you don't need to know that. You just need to know kind of where you're going and then what is the next step. That's all you need to focus on.
Yes, and I'm working with someone right now who has a job and wants to, stop the job and
Mm,
do her own business. And that
yeah,
is something I've already lived through, having to
yeah.
do that. I had a job and then I decided to go out on my own.
Mhm.
Um, that's very much the steps that we're taking to get
Yeah,
her to do what she loves. Mhm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Maria, for spending this
Oh,
time with me today. I have so enjoyed our conversation. I'm so appreciating all of the synchronicities. I love it when that happens. And to my listeners, I'm just sending you a big hug. I am loving on you. I am so appreciative and grateful for you. And know that I believe in you. You can do this. And all you need to worry about is the next step. You don't have to figure it all out right away. Just what is your next step? And so identify that step and then take it. Take it because you're
mhm.
worth it. You're worth it. And I will catch you next time. Until then, have an amazing, amazing day.